In the beginning of the story, we see entire Lowry's Marquisate has been sentenced to execution for an attempted plot to kill the royal family by poisoning their meals. Lowrys denies involvement, while Crown Prince Dylan von Vasilios places blame on him, leaving Lenare to claim they were framed. Dylan orders guards to take Lowrys away as Lenare cries out in protest. Lenare, crying, pleads with Dylan to stop, insisting that her gentle and kind-hearted twin brother Liam is innocent. Despite her protests, Dylan strikes Liam. With an evil smile, he turns his attention to Lenare, declaring that she is the only one left, the young lady of the low-rise Marquisate, Lenare Lowrys. Lenare, consumed by anger, declares that she will never forgive Crown Prince Dylan for ruining her family. As Dylan's guards take her away, Lenare reflects on her regret for not protecting her younger brother, Liam, who was bullied. She blames herself for sending him to Fortis Academy, believing that if she hadn't, he wouldn't have been mistreated by the heartless Crown Prince in the first place. Dylan orders his guards to kill her. Lenare, in desperation, prays for a chance to turn back time. Suddenly, she finds herself back in the past, crying out in shock. Then she is awakened by Liam, who hugs her tightly. Confused, Lenare asks what's going on, and Liam expresses relief that his elder sister has finally woken up. Lenare is shocked to see Liam alive and questions how this could be possible, as they were supposed to be executed. However, she smiles in relief. Liam, on the other hand, is worried and explains that Lenare had a high fever and was bedridden. Lenare is surprised to hear this and doesn't remember being bedridden. Liam recounts the incident when she collapsed during training and hit her head, causing everyone to be concerned. Liam expresses his worry for Lenare, explaining how concerned their parents were. Lenare apologizes and promises to be more careful in the future. Liam mentions that if Lenare hadn't woken up, he would have skipped the entrance ceremony, and he still doesn't want to go. Lenare is puzzled when she hears the term entrance ceremony and asks Liam what he means. Liam is surprised and wonders if she has lost her memory, clarifying that he's talking about the entrance ceremony for Fortis Academy. Liam is worried and suggests calling a doctor, thinking that Lenare's memory issue might be related to her head injury. Lenare stops him and explains that she might have been confused due to a recent nightmare. She reflects on the fact that they were definitely 19 years old in her previous memories. Liam is still concerned and asks if she's sure she's okay. Lenare, observing Liam more closely, notices that he does appear slightly younger as well. Lenare contemplates the possibility that they might be 16 years old at this moment, having gone back 3 years in the past. She reflects on her younger brother Liam, proud of his intelligence and kindness, but aware that he struggled with swordsmanship. Due to their family's tradition of being knights, Liam had to enroll in the swordsmanship division at Fortis Academy, where he faced discrimination. Lenare is filled with anger and resentment towards the person who preyed on Liam's vulnerability. She fears that if he enrolls in the academy in this state, the tragedy will repeat itself. She's left wondering what she should do to prevent it. Liam expresses his wish for the same talent in swordsmanship as Lenare. Lenare wonders how they can be so different despite being twins. She addresses Liam, but he suggests that maybe things would be different if she had been born a male instead. Lenare suddenly gets an idea and excitedly mentions the possibility. She grabs Liam's ear, trying to get his attention, but he cries out in pain. Lenare shares her plan with Liam, but he's concerned that it's too reckless. He worries about the consequences if she gets caught. However, Lenare is confident and believes she can avoid getting caught, reassuring Liam not to worry and to leave it to her. Lenare goes to her father and informs him that she has something to tell him. Her father hugs her tightly and asks about her well-being and her fever. However, Lenare feels suffocated and asks to be let go. Her father understands and lets her go. She apologizes for worrying him and reassures him that she's okay. Her father expresses relief, and Lenare then brings up the separate matter she wanted to discuss. Lenare heads to where the sword is kept and begins discussing her idea. She mentions that the thought of going to the academy has been on her mind. However, both her father and Liam become confused and concerned. They call out to her and ask what she's doing. Ignoring the protests, Lenare cuts her hair with the sword and then declares her decision to her father. She states that in Liam's place she will attend Fortis Academy. Lenare arrives at Fortis Academy and observes the institution that trains the nation's top knights and mages. She learns about the limited admissions for both the swordsmanship and magic divisions. Determined to achieve success and to reclaim the happiness taken from her family by the person who harmed them, she vows to protect it properly this time. Lenare remembers her father's shock and disbelief at her decision to attend the academy in place of Liam. He questions why she would cut her precious hair, especially when she's about to marry into the Wordman Pucci next year. Lenare reflects on her father's love for his children and comments on how it hasn't changed. She explains to her father that Liam doesn't have talent in swordsmanship, but is far more gifted in magic. She reminds her father that he is aware of Liam's potential. Liam then addresses Lenare as his elder sister. Linari's father is still worried and questions who will continue the family's distinguished name as knights if not Liam. Linari insists that she will take on the responsibility by disguising herself as a man, impersonating Liam, and entering the swordsmanship division to acquire the necessary skills and knowledge. Her father, angered and concerned, argues that he can't send a girl into a division filled with boys. Linari tries to reassure him that she'll be careful not to get caught, but her father is adamant and refuses to let her go, especially since she has her bridal studies as well. Linari suggests that Liam should be the one to continue the family tradition by attending the academy. Liam is shocked and protests, not understanding why she would suggest this. Linari explains that since she's going to impersonate him at the academy, Liam should stay and learn bridal studies in her place. Liam is not happy with this idea and mentions that she didn't mention this earlier. Linari reassures him and believes he will do well. However, Liam is still concerned. Their father, in anger, shouts that he won't allow it. Linari's father is concerned about the consequences for their family if they're found out doing something so reckless. He emphasizes that as the head of the house, he cannot permit such actions, especially because Linari is a girl, and there's no need for her to wield a sword. He believes her happiness lies in marriage. Linari responds seriously, urging her father not to view marriage as the only path to happiness for women. She points out that she has already cut her hair and the Rigmond family might not accept her like this. Her father is conflicted but still unsure about her decision. Linari pleads with her father, expressing her determination to achieve results and prevent the horrible future from repeating. She begs him to send her to the academy. Finally, her father agrees, leaving both of them surprised. He sets a condition, allowing her to go for only a year. If she can't prove that she can master all the necessary skills to be a heir of the Lorrays Marquisate within that time, she must come back and marry into the duchy. Linari agrees and confirms her understanding. Linari is thrilled that her plan worked and she got permission to attend the academy. She's also surprised at how well her dress suits Liam's appearance. When she arrives at the academy dressed as Liam, the students are intrigued and comment on how gorgeous the new person is. They wonder which family's young master he might be. Linari overhears their discussion and questions if they're talking about her. The students are excited when they notice her looking their way. Linari is cautious about revealing her true identity and ponders whether to try talking to someone. She's worried about potentially embarrassing herself, but also curious about whether Liam's appearance is attractive to girls. However, she remembers that Liam had an unfortunate encounter with the crown prince at the entrance ceremony in the past. To avoid a future where they fall into ruin, she knows she must stay clear of the crown prince and remain vigilant. Linari, disguised as Liam, receives compliments from everyone, with people remarking on how handsome she looks. This attention surprises her and makes her realize that she's attracting a lot of positive attention in her new persona. Linari observes and admires the qualities of the people around her. She notes Sir Arnold's brightness and enduring attractiveness, Sir Eldrick's captivating sharp eyes, and Sir Kyle's calm and beautiful demeanor. She also acknowledges the noble presence of the Crown Prince Dylan, feeling a sense of distinction emanating from him. Linari realizes the significance of the title Perseus at Fortis Academy, which denotes individuals who are destined to lead the country one day. She mentions the Krisia Duchy, known for their mages, the Osmond Duchy, similar to her own knight family, and the Bacchart Duchy, responsible for the nation's administration. These three families have been serving the emperor for generations and are the pillars supporting the empire. She seems to be contemplating the power dynamics at the academy and the role of the Crown Prince Dylan in this context. Linari recalls the events from the previous year, when the heirs of the prominent families, including Crown Prince Dylan, enrolled in the academy. Their presence had overshadowed both students and teachers, effectively making them the rulers of the academy, earning them the nickname Perseus, which means king. However, Linari cannot forget that these same individuals were responsible for framing and executing her innocent family. She is determined to avoid Crown Prince Dylan as much as possible for the sake of her brother Liam. She is fully aware of the danger and the need for discretion in this new reality. Dylan observes the subdued reactions around him, wondering about the cause. Meanwhile, the girls in the vicinity notice Linari and comment on the presence of a beautiful young lord, assuming he must be a new student. Dylan, catching sight of Linari, contemplates if this newcomer could indeed be the new student. He calls out to Linari, asking if he's part of the swordsmanship division given the sword in his possession. Linari is startled to see Dylan up close and realizes that he is the crown prince. Dylan comments on Linari's appearance, suggesting that he looks frail and questioning if the academy now admits children like him. He also remarks that Linari's face seems delicate, indicating that the standards for the swordsmanship division appear to have lowered. This surprises Linari, and some of the others, like Eldrick and Arnold, intervene in the conversation, with Arnold finding this situation amusing. Dylan questions Linari's ability to hold a sword properly with what he calls twig arms. Linari is clearly not pleased by this encounter and thinks to herself that this is the last person she wanted to cross paths with. She holds a deep resentment for Dylan as the source of their family's misfortune. Dylan questions Linari about his name, to which Linari responds with a false identity, claiming to be Liam Lowries. Dylan then makes derogatory comments about the lady of the low-rise house, insinuating that she has a terrible personality and can't get married. Linari is furious upon hearing this but restrains herself, knowing that she must control her emotions for the time being. She harbors strong resentment toward Dylan. Dylan notices Linari's anger and doesn't seem pleased by it. He draws his sword and holds it to Linari's mouth, challenging him to a duel. He proposes that if he wins, Linari must become his slave. Linari is shocked and wonders why Dylan is acting this way. She reaffirms her belief that the Crown Prince is nothing more than a tyrannical bully. Dylan taunts Linari, suggesting that perhaps he's too scared to accept the challenge, implying that the sword on Linari's waist is just for show. Despite her frustration, Linari knows she needs to endure the situation for now. Dylan taunts Linari, calling him a coward and suggesting that the low-rise house's downfall is only a matter of time. This angers Linari, who thinks to herself that she can tolerate insults directed at her but won't stand for someone insulting the low-rise name. She is fiercely protective of her family's honor and reputation. Linari accepts Dylan's challenge and places her sword in front of Dylan's face, determined to prove herself. She requests that if she wins, he must take back what he just said about the low-rise house. Dylan agrees to the terms, confident that Linari won't be able to defeat him. The two engage in a sword fight, ready to settle their dispute. During their sword fight, Dylan is taken aback by Linari's strength and skill. He is surprised that someone who looks so delicate and girlish is actually quite powerful. Linari is determined and confident in her swordsmanship skills, and she manages to defeat Dylan. She happily proclaims her victory and asks if it means he will take back what he said earlier. Linari is impressed by Dylan's swordsmanship skills, which are nearly on par with the Osmond family's abilities. She acknowledges that there was someone so strong hidden at the academy. Linari realizes that she needs to become even stronger for the sake of the low-rise house and her brother Liam. She's determined not to lose and is committed to improving her skills. Dylan's friends watch in disbelief as he loses the duel against Linari. The defeat leaves all the girls saddened. Kyle, one of the observers, seems somewhat impressed by Linari's victory. Linari reminds Dylan to correct what he said about the low-rise house, and he begrudgingly retracts his statement. He warns Linari not to get too confident just because she won this one time. Dylan then leaves the scene with his friends. Linari has successfully defended her family's honor and reputation, at least for the moment. Linari is infuriated by Dylan's comment that she won out of luck. She cannot understand what the Crown Prince meant by suggesting her victory was a matter of luck. Her anger towards Dylan continues to grow, and she remains determined to prove herself further. Linari reflects on the events of the first day of the semester and realizes that she has already gotten into trouble. She never expected to cross paths with the Crown Prince, let alone engage in a duel with him. Linari acknowledges that she may have irritated him, but she also firmly believes that Dylan was the one who insulted their family first. She arrives at her classroom, ready to face the challenges that lie ahead. Linari notices that rumors have already spread throughout the academy about her. While she expected this to some extent, she doesn't like dealing with such gossip. However, she reminds herself that the old Liam didn't have any close friends and was always on his own. She feels remorse for her brother, but is determined not to give up. She knows that she needs to make at least one friend and improve her social standing. Linari is pleasantly surprised when a boy named Agni approaches her. He expresses his enjoyment of her duel and compliments her for winning against the Crown Prince. Linari is thrilled by this encounter, thinking to herself, a friend appeared. She introduces herself as Liam, and Agni apologizes for not recognizing her noble status. Liam assures him that it's fine and emphasizes that everyone is equal at the academy. Agni admits that he was curious about Linari because of the rumors warning people not to get close to her. However, after meeting her, he believes that she's a good person. Linari thanks him, but she can't help but wonder about the meaning behind those rumors and why others were advised to stay away from her. Linari has been in the library for a while and is worried that Agni might be waiting for her. However, she hears people talking about needing to hurry to class and wonders why there's a gathering around the fountain in the central garden. To her surprise, she sees the Crown Prince, Dylan, along with other Persis members like Arnold and Eldic. Linari is curious about what's happening and why the members of Persis are there. Linari rushes to Agni's side, concerned about his well-being. However, Dylan stops her with a sword. Linari is angry and demands to know what's going on and why Agni is being treated this way. Dylan explains that Agni opposed him by getting close to Linari, and he believes it's Linari's fault that Agni is in this state. Linari is shocked and furious at Dylan's actions. As Linari tries to attend to Agni and get him to the infirmary, Dylan continues to berate her, demanding that she acknowledges his authority. However, just as Dylan is about to physically attack Laneri with his sword, Kyle intervenes and uses his magic to protect Laneri from harm. In the midst of the escalating conflict, Dylan confronts Kyle for intervening and accuses him of overstepping. Kyle, however, stands his ground, insisting that Dylan has gone too far and could have seriously harmed Agme. Meanwhile, Laneri is left bewildered by the sudden turn of events and wonders why this person just saved her. Arnold intervenes, urging them to stop fighting and reminding them of the impending event at Ares. Dylan contemplates the significance of Ares in light of the unfolding situation. Dylan, in a surprising twist, admits that he may have gone too far and asks for forgiveness. Laneri is left astounded by his apology. He then extends an invitation for Laneri to attend the Ares event with him. Meanwhile, other students discuss their shock and jealousy over Dylan's decision to go to the Ares tea party. Dylan's sudden change of heart leaves Laneri feeling bewildered. She questions his intentions, finding his behavior suspicious. Dylan emphasizes the significance of the Ares tea party, suggesting it could greatly influence her future. He implies that her family, Marcus Lowries, would be pleased by this opportunity. Dylan is keen to know if she's considering turning down his invitation. Laneri reflects on her lower status compared to the crown prince and believes it would be unwise to refuse his invitation. Even though she's unsure of his true intentions, she ultimately accepts, thanking Dylan for the invitation. He provides details for the meeting, instructing her to come to the pavilion in the East Garden at 4 in the afternoon, where he'll be waiting. The Ares is an exclusive group of aristocrats and nobility within the academy, which includes the 4 members of Perseus and a few other high-ranking nobles. The Ares Tea Party is a highly prestigious event organized by this group. For women, being invited to this event elevates their status as a lady and increases their prominence among other young noble women, making them the center of attention in high society. For men, it provides a golden opportunity to access elite positions like becoming an official or a knight after graduation, thus significantly boosting their reputation and career prospects. Laneri, while bathing, reflects on Agni's condition. She's worried about him and feels guilty for not being able to stay with him in the infirmary. She's in a secure bathroom and contemplates the severity of Agni's injuries. She wonders if he'll still consider her a friend after this incident. Laneri also questions the crown prince's sudden change in behavior and suspects there may be an ulterior motive. She's apprehensive about the Ares tea party and is reluctant to attend. Kyle enters the bathroom, startling Laneri. She quickly covers herself with her clothes, realizing that it's one of the Perseus. Laneri is in shock, wondering if he saw her, but she's certain she locked the doors. Kyle confirms his suspicion that she's a girl. Laneri reflects on how she tried to be careful, but she's surprised and worried about being caught by a member of the Perseus. Laneri is kneeling in front of Kyle, looking fearful. Kyle remarks on Laneri's bold idea to take her younger sibling's place at the academy, considering that the sibling had no talent in swordsmanship. Laneri pleads with him not to tell anyone about it. Kyle asks about Liam, and Laneri explains that he's receiving bridal training in her place. Kyle bursts into laughter, finding their situation quite amusing and unusual. Kyle chuckles, finding Laneri's behavior amusing. He comments on her uniqueness and entertainment value, particularly for daring to point her sword at Dylan. Laneri is skeptical about whether this is a compliment. Kyle thinks about how Dylan must be obsessed with Laneri for a reason. Laneri asks Kyle to keep her secret, to which he responds with a playful wink and a nod. Laneri, deeply concerned about the potential consequences for her family if the truth were to come out, pleads with Kyle to keep her secret. She even offers to do anything in return. Kyle, with a smile, agrees to keep her secret, surprising Laneri with how easily he accepted. He reassures her by acknowledging her identity and commitment to her cause. Laneri is overjoyed and expresses her gratitude to Kyle. Kyle's parting words to Laneri carry a sense of intrigue and a hint of mischief. He emphasizes that she must continue to entertain him to maintain the secret. Laneri realizes that she might have put herself in a challenging situation by entrusting her secret to him. Laneri is taken aback by the warm reception from her classmates, who seem excited about her invitation to the Ares tea party. They express admiration and curiosity about how she managed to secure such an invitation. Laneri is surprised by the attention and wonders about the significance of it all. Laneri realizes the significance of her classmates' change in attitude toward her due to her invitation to the Ares tea party, thanks to the Ares influence. However, her main concern is about Agni, who was severely injured because of the incident with the crown prince. She inquires about Agni's whereabouts, and her classmates inform her that he might be absent due to his injuries. Laneri feels saddened by the thought of Agni's condition and is determined to visit him and apologize once the tea party is over. Laneri arrives at Dylan's tea party and faces his comment about her not running away. She reminds him that he's the one who invited her, which earns her some respect for her resolve. Linari sits down with them, realizing she's surrounded by the Ares members and she expects the situation may not go as smoothly as she hoped. Dillion introduces Linari as Liam Lowrace to the Ares Tea Party, and Linari is determined to make sure the event goes smoothly. However, Dillion guides her to another seat and tells her to serve. Linari is surprised and upset to find out that she was invited to the tea party to serve, not as a guest. She realizes that this is a deliberate attempt to humiliate the eldest son of the Marcus family. She advises herself to stay calm and not to refute it, as doing so would only make matters worse. She knows that no one will be on her side if she falls into their trap. Linari reluctantly agrees to serve at the tea party. This surprises Dillion and his companions, but it seems that Linari has decided to go along with the plan despite her initial shock and disappointment. Kyle finds her interesting due to her unexpected compliance. Linari, despite her initial disappointment, decides to embrace the role of serving at the tea party. She's confident in her ability to do the job well, having studied it as part of her bride training. When she asks one of the other servants for instructions, she is initially surprised, but Linari reassures her that she's willing to follow her orders, even if he is from a higher-ranking family like the Dukes. Servant hesitated but asked Linari to serve the fasces. Linari agreed and noticed a unique teacup. The servant explained it was the one the Crown Prince usually used. Linari realized the Crown Prince's clothing was regularly in service. While watching Linari work, someone chuckled and commented on the Marquis's son doing the job. Despite initial doubts, everyone was amazed when they saw Linari pouring tea. Linari thought about her skills not being limited to just swordsmanship, as she also had expertise in the art of tea-making. She recognized the unique approach the Crown Prince took in preparing his tea, wanting to stand out from the rest. Suddenly, it dawns on Linari that the tea she's been handling might be poisoned, and she panics, worried about her involvement. The seriousness of the situation becomes clear as someone blames her, and she realizes the gravity of the circumstances. Linari begins to realize that the events she's witnessing have not yet occurred, and she suspects that her actions in the past have altered the future, leading to consequences such as Liam losing his place at the academy. She grapples with the idea that she may have changed the course of events by returning to the past. At the start of Ares' tea party, Linari hands the servant a tray and requests assistance. The servant is confused but complies. Linari then approaches Dillion, attempting to prevent him from drinking the tea. She swiftly takes the cup from his hand and drinks it herself. Realizing the tea is poisonous, she feels weakened and collapses. Dillion, alarmed by her condition, becomes anxious as well. In fear, Dillion calls out to Linari and asks her to hold on. Witnessing Linari's condition, everyone becomes concerned. Linari observes Dillion's caring behavior and thinks to herself that he's not just a cold-blooded prince. Arnold and Kyle inquire about what's happening and express their concern. Dillion is shocked to hear that the tea was poisoned, and this situation reminds him of something from his childhood with his mother. Kyle uses his powers to assist Linari. Arnold questions Kyle's actions, to which Kyle responds assertively. Illich is surprised that Kyle took the initiative to help others, considering his usual behavior. Kyle reassures everyone that he has provided emergency treatment. He then carries Linari, intending to take her to the medical room. Surprised, Arnold makes a joke about Kyle helping others and predicts an earthquake tomorrow. Eldick asks Dillion if he's okay. Then Eldick raises his voice and instructs everyone to stay where they are to thoroughly check for the malicious person. He also orders Arnold to call the guards. Kyle takes Linari to the public health station. He chastises her for drinking the poisonous tea and mentions that revealing that he's a girl would be easy. He believes that Linari wasn't the one who poisoned the tea and suspects that she might have been framed. Kyle realizes that the killer's goal is to assassinate the Crown Prince and swears to protect what they value, vowing to make the culprit regret their actions. After regaining consciousness, Linari finds Dillion standing in front of her. She is shocked to see him and wonders why he is there. Dillion questions her about the situation and asks for an explanation. Linari is worried that Dillion might think she's the culprit, especially since she drank the poisoned tea, and fears she might be executed. Frightened, Linari expresses her concern about the impending execution, fearing she cannot change her fate. Dillion questions if she was the one who poisoned him, to which Linari vehemently denies. Dillion presses further, asking how she knew the tea was poisoned, suggesting she only drank it after realizing. Linari, feeling overwhelmed, thinks about her previous life and refrains from mentioning it. When Dillion asks what's wrong, Linari dismisses it, saying she just feels unwell. Dillion expresses shock at Linari's explanation. She tells him that she noticed the Crown Prince's cup was different, which raised suspicions. She also mentions that even if she had said it was poisoned, no one would have believed her, so she felt compelled to drink it. Dillion responds in frustration, finding her actions nonsensical. Linari, feeling intimidated, thinks to herself that he's still agitated. However, Dillion is angry, scolding her for risking her life over such a reckless act. Surprised by Dillion's reaction, Linari questions him. Dillian expresses remorse and apologizes for the earlier assumption that she had poisoned the tea. Laneri is puzzled by his change in attitude and thinks about his true intentions. Dillian reveals that he didn't want anyone to die from drinking poison, and Laneri is left wondering why he looks so miserable. Laneri explains her determination to Dillian, stating that she's a knight and a student at the Knight Academy. Her purpose is to protect her family and ensure a better future where they can protect the Crown Prince. She emphasizes that she's willing to make unusual choices if it helps change the future. Dillian reflects on his past actions and wonders why Laneri is willing to sacrifice herself for him. Laneri, feeling embarrassed, advises him not to take such risks again. Dillian sternly warns her against exchanging her life so easily and urges her not to attempt something like that again. Laneri agrees to his request. Laneri is surprised and confused by Dillian's gratitude. She wonders if she can change the future, and Dillian, despite the seriousness of the situation, thanks her. Laneri is surprised and perplexed by the unexpected gratitude from the Crown Prince, noticing that his face turns red. Laneri chuckles and finds herself no longer worried, bursting into laughter. Dillian is frustrated by her laughter, but when he sees her smile, his mood improves and he smiles as well. Laneri thinks to herself that Dillian is cute when he smiles, but Dillian is annoyed, wondering why he finds him cute despite clearly being a boy. The next day, the girls are amazed to see Laneri. They recognize her as Sir Liam, the one who saved Prince Dillian. They comment on how handsome she's up close. Agni approaches Laneri and mentions that her heroic act of drinking the poison for Prince Dillian has made her a hero throughout the academy. Laneri is shocked by the attention and the news of her actions spreading. Frustrated, Laneri thinks to herself about how she just wanted to lead a peaceful life without drawing attention, but now she's noticed even more. Agni, on the other hand, tells Laneri that it's a good thing she has recognition from fascists. Laneri is surprised and asks if they really recognize her. Agni explains that being called a hero and receiving recognition are essentially the same thing. He expresses his gratitude to Laneri for her brave actions, which have led them to be selected as reserve members of the Demon Sword Confrontation. Agni thanks Laneri for her bravery. Laneri reflects on her friendship with Agni, realizing that she made him suffer. However, she is excited about their future in the Demon Sword Confrontation and expresses her determination to do their best. Agni agrees and emphasizes the importance of practice, to which Laneri agrees as well. They both seem motivated to work hard in their training. The Confronting the Demon Sword competition is a prestigious event involving contestants selected from 4 academies, including Photis Academy. The competition holds great significance for the academies, serving as a showcase of their pride and honor. It's an opportunity for participants to push their abilities and magic power to the limit. This annual event is highly anticipated, with candidates from each academy putting in rigorous practice to vie for the coveted trophy. Laneri is determined to win the trophy in the Confronting the Demon Sword competition, which would allow her to join the Royal Guard team and prove herself as the heir of the Lorries family. This is a crucial step in preserving her family's honor and gaining her father's approval. Laneri is approached by Edlic and Kyle, who inquire about her recovery and assure her that they are investigating the poisoner. Laneri is thankful for their efforts, but still wonders about the identity of the person who falsely accused Liam in her previous life. Edlic informs Laneri that the poison in her body has been resolved and praises Kyle for handling the situation promptly. Laneri is shocked to learn that it was Senior Kyle who detoxified her. She quickly apologizes for forgetting to thank him. Kyle approaches Laneri and tells her not to worry, suggesting that she should try to make him find her more interesting. He then leaves, mentioning that they'll meet at the training ground for reserve members. Laneri is annoyed and thinks about how she can't let her guard down around Senior Kyle, especially since he already knows she's a girl. Agni praises Laneri for being able to converse with fascists and mentions that he's still a bit afraid of them. Laneri expresses her discomfort with the way fascists treated Agni and reveals that she's feeling stressed. She realizes that she forgot something and decides to go back briefly, instructing Agni to go ahead to the selection training session. Agni acknowledges her request and reminds her that it's an important session. Laneri heads to the dressing room, thinking to herself. She observes that the room is empty and acknowledges that she pretended to forget something. She feels sorry for Agni, realizing that it's not feasible for them to change clothes together. In this moment, she comprehends the challenges women face when trying to disguise themselves as men. In a state of panic, Laneri wonders about the situation, and when she's attacked from behind, she thinks it might be related to the recent incident. A group of individuals suddenly appears and mentions that it's easier for her to be alone. Laneri is frightened, and she's not sure who these people are, as they don't seem to be Academy students. One of the men mentions causing her pain as instructed by their boss, and Laneri calls for help, hoping someone will come to her rescue. Dillian, Arnold, Kyle, and Eldic wait for Liren, wondering why he's not here yet. Agni suddenly arrives and informs them that he couldn't find Liam. Kyle inquires about the situation, and Agme mentions that Liam said he forgot something and went back. Agme waited for him in front of the training ground, but as Liam didn't show up, Agni looked for him. Outside the locker room, Agni found Liam's sword. The others are concerned about Liam's whereabouts. Dillion considers whether Liam might have accidentally dropped his sword, but the idea of a Knight student losing their swords seems strange. The group discusses the various rumors and circumstances surrounding Liam, with Kyle suggesting that some might not want to see him as a hero. Eldic speculates that Liam might be in trouble, which raises concerns about his well-being. Serious and contemplative, Dillion ponders what might have happened to Liam. He quickly reminds himself that it shouldn't concern him, but despite this, he finds himself running to search for him. Kyle calls out to Dillion, asking him to wait and questioning where he's headed. On the other side, the ruffians bind Linari and leave her in an unfamiliar place. Linari, puzzled and alarmed, wonders about their intentions and the reason behind subjecting her to this ordeal. The ruffian comments on Linari's expression, implying that someone arranged this to prevent her from being selected. Linari's mind races, trying to make sense of the situation and understand why someone might harbor such animosity towards her. One of the ruffians talks among themselves, discussing their plans to harm Linari. They remark on Linari's appearance, noting that they find him attractive despite the fact that he is a male. They express doubt about Linari's ability to wield a sword due to his slender build. One of the ruffians takes out a large knife, indicating their intent to proceed with their sinister plans. Linari summons a surge of courage and launches an attack against the ruffians. In their anger, one of the ruffians shouts at Linari to stay down, but Linari cleverly tears a piece of cloth and screaming for help. Despite her efforts, one of the ruffians forcefully pushes Linari to the ground. Dillion's unexpected arrival startles the ruffians, and they are taken aback by his presence. Linari, equally surprised, can't believe that the Crown Prince, Dillion, has come to her rescue. Dillion, with anger in his eyes, confronts the ruffians who are causing harm to Linari.